This generation do not listen to what you say. They see what you do.
They see what you do.
For companies, the CEOs, the programs manager, the directors, they need to exemplify what they say.
What is the future of leadership? What trends are we seeing?
Leadership is not a flowchart.
It's not a flowchart.
Leadership is not positions, is your ability to reproduce yourself in others. The greatest leadership constant factor is responsibility. Life rewards those who wait, but you have to wait strategically.
Welcome to this episode of the Executive Review podcast. My name is Rick Okinda. Today I'm pleased to host Eugene Stephen Okanda. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Rick.
Yes.
So good to be here.
It's good to host you. It's been a while. I've been looking for you.
Yes.
And I'm happy that you finally made time.
Yeah.
And I will begin right away with some quick fire questions. So I've seen you traveling.
Yeah.
Will you choose Dar or Addis?
I'll choose Addis.
Addis.
Addis is serene,
Uh-huh.
very organized, clean city, clean, very clean.
Yeah.
Especially when you go to the city, and especially at night, the lights, the balance between the lights, the ambience, the people as well, and also just there's not much traffic, especially if you compare. Of course, it's still growing,
Yeah.
but it's very well organized.
Very well organized.
Yeah.
Okay, second question. Will you preach? I've seen you preaching also.
Awesome.
Will
Yeah.
you preach with a KJV Bible or an NIV Bible?
Okay, for the better part of the audience, I'll
Yeah.
prefer NIV. Yeah, the language
But
is
for your
palatable.
personal study?
Oh, for my personal studies, I of course I use different versions, ESV, NIV, KJV, and quite a number of them. But most of the time, I like using ESV.
ESV.
Yeah.
I also do ESV, English Standard Version.
Yes,
It's
yes.
plain, straight to the point, simple.
That's right.
Pizza or burger?
For the sake of my wife, pizza. We love chicken tikka.
Chicken tikka.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And fourth question is, I know you've had a good number of opportunities
Yes.
to be with students
Yeah.
in various levels, but also for your own experience. Which moment of your life growing up was most remarkable, uni or high school?
High school.
High school?
High school, I made life-altering decisions that has affected my professional ethics, my values, my vision, my purpose. So high school was when God just, there was a floodlight of clarity, confidence, commitment, diligence, and work ethic.
And last question.
Yes.
This is now about leadership. I've seen you in many leadership conferences, and you also lead an executive coaching institute. Would you be a lion or a wolf?
Come on, Rick. I'll be a lion, man. I want to roar. I want when anytime we're having leadership conversations, because the lion is not the fastest animal in the jungle. It's not the biggest animal in the jungle. It's not even the fastest. Possibly the loudest animal in the jungle, but it is the king of the jungle.
The king of the jungle.
Because of the mindset.
Because of the mindset.
Yeah.
That's where we begin our conversation today with the mindset with Stephen Okanda,
Yes.
who is a human capital strategist
Absolutely.
at Okanda Leadership Academy.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yeah. You've
So,
got it
okay,
right.
maybe just let me give you the opportunity to introduce yourself.
I've had incredible life journey. I'm serving as a pastor in CITAM. I am a 6-time published author. For my first publication I did when I was 25 years old, and right now I'm 30. For the past 5 years, I've written 6 books.
Wow.
A
A book every year.
Yeah, a book. That's the commitment. I do research for 6 months. And then 6 months, I spend time reading, reviewing, and publishing. And then I've also done at least 2 corporate training manuals. So
I think I have a few of your books in my bookshelf
Yes.
back home.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I help organization. Organization right now, they're struggling with human capital.
Yeah.
So I help them strategize, customize training materials for their staff. So I've done quite a number of them. And also one of the books that I've also written is on vision board. So
Yeah.
helping individual build vision boards. I've done a few sessions with couples. I've also done a few sessions with corporate. So just helping people understand that they need to have a vision board and something that it's visible. I also serve as the founder and the visionary lead of Okanda Leadership Academy.
Yeah.
It's a platform that empowers human capital for institutional transformation. because if you don't invest in your human capital, you don't have a company.
Yeah.
And you can have as much money as you may wish to have, but if you don't invest in the growth of your human capital, everything will come tumbling down.
Yeah.
And I've had an immense opportunity also to serve as the Kenya United Nations Youth Representative. It was a 1-year mandate, which of course went into 2025, and even now I still consult.
You are a fellow.
Yeah, I'm a fellow. I give advice.
Yes.
I also do a lot of mentorship for those who want to get into international relations and diplomacy, just understanding the landscape. I had an immense opportunity, did some work in Tanzania. We went to South Sudan, also did some work in Ethiopia, and then I spent some time in New York during the United Nations General
That is
Assembly.
Manhattan.
That is Manhattan.
I saw you.
Beautiful city.
I used to taking photos in Manhattan.
Yeah, man.
In the exact spot that I also once was there.
I saw it.
Times Square.
Yeah, Times Square.
Yeah.
I was in Times Square. We had when I landed in New York, my mind literally opened, because you go to some of the monuments and places of things that were built in as way early 1900s, and things that are still functioning until today. But that was also an epic opportunity to meet with people from different culture, leaders. It was the first time in my life seated in a room that has over 190 heads of states and policy makers and decision makers, thousands upon thousands of young people from different countries. Also got opportunities to speak in the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. It was a lifetime experience that God can only, it's only God who can make such opportunities to come to pass.
And God has given us this opportunity
to
have this podcast with you.
Indeed.
Thank you, Eugene Okanda.
Yes.
Welcome to the Executive Review Podcast once again.
Yeah.
So today's conversation is about raising leaders out of a generation that refuses to wait.
Yeah.
And you have spoken so well about your passion in raising leaders and helping organizations to sort out human capital issues. We all know that the most important resource in organizations is the human capital.
That's right.
How did you find yourself into this career path?
When I was in campus, because I did my first degree in Kenyatta University.
Yeah.
And when I was in my third year, if I get it correct, I was looking for an attachment.
Yeah.
And I sent out more than 50 applications.
Yeah.
I visited over 20 institutions physically.
Yes.
And about 30 that I was able to send CVs, do calls here and there, cold calls, of course. I never received a response from any one of those institutions. And it talks much more about the culture that we have built around our institutions. And that experience taught me the fact that we have leaders and people who serve in these corporations that don't care whether you send a CV or you show up.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to show up in some spaces and I used to be treated with a very bad attitude.
Yeah.
Someone looks at you, you're just young in campus and you're trying to get a life going.
Yeah.
But how people look at you, they debase you because you're looking for an opportunity, how people treat you from the security guard at the gate. And it talks more about the culture of some of these institutions. When I exited campus, but even before then, I got an opportunity to be given a mandate by the Christian Union to organize the second edition of the Student Leadership Summit.
Yeah.
And we gathered over 600 student leaders at the Kenyatta University Auditorium. We had an amazing lineup of speakers. And for me, when I saw the room with these young people, I knew this is what God is calling me to do, to raise leaders who have built their capacity for excellence delivery in the workplace.
Wow.
And for me, that was a commitment. I, of course, now finished. During COVID-19, I started hosting virtual sessions.
Yeah, I think
So
I've been attending a few of them.
Yeah. So 2019, we started doing virtual. 2020, we started doing virtual sessions. We used to host sessions every week, and people used to attend. And I used to see their hunger, because many people go to the university, but they leave the university without the practical skills that can help them to solve the issues and the problems in the world. And we'll come to that in a moment. But doing that consistently, And also, during my campus days, I used to do a lot of trainings and speaking engagement with student leaders across the board. Schools could call me. I spent time with student leaders in a room, some in the field, and I used to find a lot of joy in terms of just empowering. Because also this was coming from the place of how I have been raised. To a large extent, I have had to invest in my personal growth because I understood the life that you want. The life that you want is actually just on your reach.
Yeah.
You have to stretch.
You've got to go
You
for
have
it.
to stretch yourself to
Go get it.
Go get it. You have to push yourself to go get it.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure that this mindset is molded, especially in the young generation, and progressively. And since then, I mean, we have done a lot of sessions. I've had a privilege and an honor to be invited by companies. Some of the people who I now call me to do trainings for their staff, they used to attend my leadership summit when they were students in the university. Now they're CEOs of companies.
Yeah.
They are institutional leaders. And they have seen your experience, your expertise, but also your growth.
Yeah.
And that's how we were able to just have a multifaceted experience, especially with now people are getting into the corporate space. And I've trained, I mean, if I can go back and do the counting, it's close to 25,000 plus.
Wow. That's a
impact.
huge community of impact. Now, let's also look at the generation that is rising. The average Kenyan is 19 years old.
That's right.
Or about 20 years old, 19.5 years old.
That's right.
There. That's a very young generation. And this generation has been given so many definitions. In this podcast, we are calling them a generation that refuses to wait.
Oh, yes.
These are the young people, but these also are the next CEOs.
Absolutely.
They're the next problem solvers of this country. They're the next doctors. They're the next everything that you can imagine.
That's right.
In terms of building a nation, a society. And you have put yourself at the forefront to make sure that you raise them right. How would you define this generation, and what are you doing to make sure that you are raising them right?
You've said it right. On that note, these are the generation that refuses to wait. And it's because, you see, we have gone through various stages. The first generation, they were told, go to school, come. And some of them never even went to school.
Yes.
So long as they see your aptitude, your ability, they give you a job. And then another generation was told, now you go to school, get a degree, come back, we're going to give you a job.
Yeah.
And then another generation now that is here, they have seen a generation that has actually failed on all those fronts.
Yeah.
You come from the university, you have a degree, but you come out of the university with a loan,
Yeah.
a HELB loan.
A HELB loan.
And the first responsibility is starting to pay for a loan.
And also a black tax loan.
And a black tax loan. So if
Yeah.
I can use an analogy,
Yeah.
first of all, we had a generation that was was sort of hungry to be fed. So what they were told, you don't need to be bothered. We will give you fish.
We'll give you fish.
We'll give you fish. And therefore, anytime you are hungry, you just come and you're served fish.
Just develop some appetite.
Yes. And then now, the demand increased. And because of the population that was increasing of the professional. So they said, okay, if you're hungry, you need to learn how to fish by yourself.
Yeah.
So go get yourself some skills to know how to fish. And we had the people who went to get to have the skill of fishing. And they came back. And the people who were owning the pond saw that, hey, there are too many people who are now fishing. So what they decided to do, they took over the pond. So we have a generation that has the skills to fish, but no pond. They're hungry, but no one can feed them.
Yeah.
That's why the rate of unemployment in this country is staggeringly worrying.
Yeah.
And that is something to
It's becoming even a security threat.
It's becoming a security threat.
Yeah.
So we have a generation that know exactly what they want. They have some of them have learned a lot of skills just on YouTube, and they can deliver. But there's no venture that they can actually leverage on. And now the problem is we are having a security breach because they want to take over the pond. But this is what we want. This is what
A security breach. They're breaching the borders.
Yeah, they're breaching the border. They have a security breach, and here there's people who want to take over the pond. Now, what we have come in as a human capital strategist is to help this generation know that they can have the skill to fish, and they can build their own ponds, and they can be able to hold the governments accountable to make sure that these ponds that they have built can be sustainable and can also be able to have a multiplying effect into raising other people. And I've seen that real time. There are people I have trained, I've coached, I have mentored, who have started initiative that have actually employed other people.
Yeah.
The thing is that is now the generation that we want to invest in. Now, what I'll say is this. The Gen Z generation is a vigorous generation. These are the people who, they come to work, and if the work is not exciting, I mean, they just tell you on WhatsApp, man, I'm not coming tomorrow. So I will possibly, I will come next week.
Yeah.
And that is upon you to decide.
Yeah.
They've been raised up in a season, in a generation with options.
Yeah.
If this does not work, you can try this one.
Yes.
You can try that one. But we need to.
And they're never afraid of consequences.
And they're never afraid of consequences.
They can face them.
That's right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we want to make sure that we do is to harness their aptitude, ability, but also making sure that they are entrepreneurial. If there are two things I'm trying to really teach, especially the guys who are coming from the university, you first of all need to build your ability to vision cast in terms of your communication skills, the skills of sales and marketing. I wish we were taught these things in school, where you have an idea and you can talk about this idea to get the attention of someone to buy it, and having that grit of a salesperson in terms of getting out there, selling your stuff, building your capacity. Because the thing is that we are living in a brand economy, and a brand economy basically is a brand that operates from the fact of, I have these skills and abilities, you have the need, you hire me, I come as a consultant, I do this business, and then we're able to settle matters. That's actually the generation we are living in. And this generation knows that. They cannot survive in an 8-to-5 job. If you fix them in an office, you're killing their potential, you're killing their creativity. So the business environments needs to understand how to optimize, give them ability to make choices, but choices that are also choices that also have some sort of guidelines on how they can operate optimally.
That is a very good understanding of it. Let's come to organizations. We have companies and we have HR departments in most of these organizations, charged to make sure that you acquire talent, develop talent, and use that talent to advance the mandate of that organization and make profit. How would you compare conventional HR practices that can no longer work in modern times versus options that HR managers should now pay attention to looking forward, given that we are going to have a workforce that has the characteristics that you have described?
First of all, it starts with the quality of education we get, because we come from the university but with a lot of skills mismatch. One of the things I normally define, especially when you talk about skill and skills development, your skills as a human being and as a person. First of all, the education you go through has to give you ability to build skills that, number one, they're practical. So meaning, these are skills that solves a practical human or societal problem. Number two, skills that have potential. That means the skills that have value. And this value can either be human, in terms of having a human capital on it, a human capital, social capital on it, or financial capital. So if you do this, if you put your skill into the works, it should either give you financial capital or it should give you social capital. But I pray that it gives you both, because if it gives you both, then you're able to sustain yourself through seasons, especially. And then number three, your skills should be portable. Most of the time, even from a HR practical perspective, is that when you're reviewing and looking through the CV of the people that you're hiring, you realize they have a lot of skills, but don't solve a specific problem. So in company A, you are doing this thing, and then you move to company B that you're doing a totally different thing, and then you move to company C that you're doing a totally different thing. So even HR are finding themselves in this hard spot where people do not have a collegiality of skills. So yes, they've been working for the past 8 years, but they have this disconnected capacity. Meaning, if you're going to hire this person, we have to, again, skill develop them.
Yeah.
So that is costing the company as well.
Yeah.
So you find that HR, they have a lot of decisions and a lot of work to do in terms of even hiring, because the human capital in itself has not been harnessed to have a collegiality and a bank of skills that can survive the turbulence of time.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about, portability.
Portability.
And then the other thing, when you talk about the human capital, even from a HR perspective,
Yeah.
your skills should be, the education system should be able to build your skills in such a way that if today we drop you in Eswatini, you need to find the problem, build value around it,
Yeah.
and use the skills to make sure that there is actually an economic value towards it. So that is the biggest problem we are having, especially with the huge populace of professionals. People are getting into the marketplace, but their skills are so disjointed. And that is what HR needs to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Because now you find that companies are spending a lot of money
Yeah.
to skill develop. The other thing, and this is maybe the last one, is soft skills.
Soft skills.
Because soft skills will survive any economic turmoil or turbulence.
Yeah.
So if possibly you go through an economic crisis, if you have built a workforce that is creative enough,
Yeah.
they can think about innovation.
Yeah.
If you have a human capital that are able to communicate, these are people who can sell the value of the company.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence. The world is becoming emotionally
responsive.
Emotional irresponsive.
Yes.
In terms of how people react to things, we are raising a very reactive generation,
Yeah.
whereby if something happens, we react.
Yeah.
But there is no action-oriented strategies to solving that. And that is the problem that HR are finding themselves in. So if there's a problem at work, people react, they quit, and they quit on a text.
Yeah.
And that is the kind of generation. The other thing is when you talk about conflict management,
Yeah.
and I've used conflict management, and it is called conflict management because there's no day there's going to be no conflict.
Yeah.
Every single day you get an opportunity to manage conflict.
Yeah.
Now we are raising another problem in the corporate space is that people don't know how to solve conflict, and they don't know how to manage conflict because their emotional intelligence is in question. So these soft skills, and these are the things that we try to convince institutions and organizations, give us platform to able to help your team solve this problem. Now, Rick, this is also another problem as far as that is concerned. Companies think if we take our team for a 2-day team building or a 3-hour team building activity, we have solved the problem. That is just a tip.
Yeah, it's a tip
of possibly solving that problem. The companies need to invest in long-term skills development.
Yeah.
Take your staff, get a consultant, let this consultant work with your team for at least, if we're doing badly off, at least for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
For 4 weeks, let them get time within your work schedule, help them get training, let the consultant work with them, have one-on-one conversation with them. Someone has been showing up to work late. Have you ever sat down to ask why? So these for me are...
Probably they will prefer to arrive a little bit late and leave later and leave much later.
Yes.
You just didn't talk to them.
You just didn't talk to them.
Or they'll prefer to work from home half of the time.
That's right.
Maybe they can be available at 6 a.m. from home.
That's right.
And then they can be available from 1 p.m. in the office.
That's right. So that's actually one of the things I wanted to say. Also, the work dynamics has changed totally. So if you're going to grab people and sit them in an office from 8 to 5, you're wasting that human capital.
Sure.
So those are some of the
while you're still at that, allow me to ask you, you run a very serious institution, Okanda Leadership Academy, which is concerned with solving these problems that you're talking about. What do you do at Okanda Leadership Academy in response to the challenges that we see in a generation that refuses to wait versus the needs that organizations have to have skill that can help them achieve their mission?
A good question. So for us, we have ventured into training, coaching, and consultancy.
Okay.
So what we do is we sit down with the head of possibly the person who is in charge of the human capital, the HR. We ask them what are some of the potential problems that you guys are facing in this company, and how would you want us to come in terms of solving those problems. So we do the needs assessment, and then from the needs assessment we get the practical issues that are popping up. So if it's the problem of conflict management, in terms of personal leadership and organizational development, in terms of culture and its impact in the workplace, in terms of even understanding the vision of the company, we did a training for a company, and when we were doing the coaching session, the training session, 90% of the staff do not know the vision of the company. We only know the vision of the company when we're going for the interview. When the interview is over, 2 weeks later, you don't know the vision of the company. You don't know the mission of the company. You don't know the values of the company. That means you're going to come up with your own vision, mission, and core values.
Yeah.
And that brings division, which brings conflict, and sometimes things don't go well. There's another company we were doing a training for them. One of the staff had actually started another company using the company's resources.
Ish.
So, in fact, even meetings, he uses the company's office to do meetings. He uses the company's Wi-Fi to conduct consultancy services.
Yeah.
And these are things that happen.
But that's a normal thing in the modern world.
Yeah, that's about...
Because there's no correlation between management and staff.
That's right.
And sometimes what you say, one-off team building, instead of developing the talent. So these are things you're solving in a real way at Okanda Leadership Academy.
Yes. So we do customized training program. So when we don't just come and drop things on the face of your staff, we sit down with you, we analyze what the problem is, and then from there we customize our training. So we come up with the training manual, we do the materials for the training, and then we don't do one-off. We don't do one-off. So after we have done the training, we'll do the subsequent coaching session. So that this will happen after 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, you can be able to quantify impact. You can be able to measure impact. So this person was showing up at work 1 hour late. Has that reduced? This person was full of an attitude in the workplace. Has that reduced? This person possibly was not finding joy and satisfaction in their workplace. Those are the things you can measure after 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, we sit down with your company again. We do another session with them, and then progressively able to build capacity.
We'll get to that now. We are told that sometimes this impatience that we see in a generation that refuses to wait is actually it's limiting them from learning from the previous generation that has certain experiences that need to be carried forward. You have been in speaking engagements talking about raising leaders and coaching people to be able to be the best of themselves and for their workplaces. How will you solve the problem of impatience among the generation that is rising in respect to the need to take time and develop skills that matter, connect with people, network, socialize, because the workplace requires a lot of cohesiveness and coherence, which cannot work when there is a lot of impatience. Because let's face it, why are we branding them a generation that refuses to wait? It's because of impatience.
That's right.
And you just mentioned it. You'll not wait not to be fed.
Yeah.
You will want to feed yourself.
Yes.
And that's why probably you will use Wi-Fi in your employer's office.
To look for another job.
Yes.
Companies are going through a lot.
Just help us to see how to bridge
the gap.
The impatience gap.
The impatient gap.
Yes.
First of all, intergenerational dialogues are very important.
Yes.
But you see, learning happens in a context.
So
the older generation needs to understand the younger generation. But from where I sit and the observation I've made, these two generations are speaking a totally different language. And no generation is patient enough to hear and listen and glean into one another. There's no cross-pollination of ideas as far as these two generations are concerned. First of all, to the older generation, they need to understand that this is a totally different world. We are living in the fourth industrial revolution powered by artificial intelligence. Things are happening within a snap of a finger.
Yeah.
So if you sit down, and I've seen this, I remember I was training a particular group and the CEO stood up and said, in our time, we used to do this and that. And I was like, man, that doesn't make sense.
These are different times.
These are different.
Actually, just while you're at that, we've seen even car companies looking at doing market research to see who are the next consumers of, who are going to buy cars? Who are the next consumers of cars?
Yes.
And you have seen cars remodeling their products so that they can respond to this new generation.
To the specific need.
Yes. If the issue is, let's say, size, they will be able to give you a size that fits the generation. We are having smaller and smaller families and smaller cars are becoming quite popular. And we also see, we know the story of the Range Rover, the smaller Range Rover. Is it Evoque? And it is just responding to the generational issues.
Yes.
let me see also, as you address this topic of bridging that gap of intergenerational differences.
Yes.
How this can also affect the packaging of products in these companies, so that we are also producing for a generation that can be able to embrace and own these products. Because we're also seeing from a marketing perspective that there is no loyalty in the generation that refuses to wait. So how are you sorting this out in Okanda Leadership Academy?
That's a good question. Actually, this is a generation that doesn't have loyalty.
Yeah.
Their preferences are very, for lack of a better word, superficial. It is solving the now problem.
The now problem.
And if companies don't understand the now problem, how people are getting into the workplace, how they are in terms of branding themselves, that part of loyalty is fading out. In fact, not just products, even basic friendships and relationships, they've become transactional. If you don't do this for me, I can't do this for you. And it's becoming a big issue. Now, what companies need to do from the receiving end, because they're the ones who are working with these people, I think we also need to contextualize the problems we solve with the kind of people that we work with. Like, for example, the very thing we talked about, like in terms of work and schedule. There are people who are active from let's say 2 to 5, and there are those who are active in the morning hours. So have you sat down with your team to understand this is what we'll be doing? This is what we'll be doing with this team at this period of time, and then this other team will come in this period at this period of time. If someone is working in a company and do not find that flexibility, they will move. And then nowadays, it's not about, for this generation, it is not about the money you pay them. It's about what that money is doing for them. And if another company is paying them good money that is able to serve their needs, they will move. So that's why the issue of loyalty is really fading away. But the other thing that we also need to seriously look into this is how we prepare this generation. We were just talking about intergenerational dialogue and cross-pollination of conversation and ideas. The older generation has to provide space for mentorship. We talk about mentorship as if it's a bread and butter. Mentorship is a tough job. It will demand your time. It will demand your energy. I remember when I was in campus, one of my mentors, a man I really respect. I mean, we used to create time for me in a way that I rarely see it in our generation today. Even with my schedule and the people that I mentor, I have to seriously create time in order for me to have conversation with these people. So creating that space is also very important. Even the same environment of mentorship. Nowadays, mentorship is not about meeting in the corridors. Invite them to the places of work. Let them see how you do your work. I had this other mentor who, at one point, he invited me in his home. I stayed with him for a whole week, just seeing him how he lives for work. And that period of time, I used to work for the Ministry of Youth Affairs. So we used to live together. I come to the office, then we go back home in the evening. I see him how he's treating. Mentorship is, this generation do not listen to what you say. They see what you do.
They see what you do.
And that's why it's becoming a big issue even with our political leaders, because what they say divorces what they do. And that's why this generation is not having loyalty, because you don't tell them what to do. They see your actions. And therefore, for companies, the CEOs, the programs manager, the directors, they need to exemplify what they say. In
exemplifying what they say, what advice do you have to this generation? There are many guys looking up to becoming the very best of what leadership requires. The bar has been set. But what practical steps would you suggest to someone in a generation that refuses to wait, and with that characterization, still wants to measure up to what it requires to be a leader? What advice will you give this generation?
First of all, leadership is not what you reach out to. Leadership is what you do every single day.
It's what you do every single day.
Every single day. One of the key words that defines leadership is responsibility.
Responsibility.
And from an illustrative point of view, responsibility looks like a combination of two words. Response and ability. Now, response, there's a difference between response and reaction.
Yeah.
Response is not reaction. Response is action. Ability is the capacity. So this is it. Number one, you need to teach yourself to get things done. Teach yourself to get things done.
Yeah.
And it starts by how you lead yourself.
Yeah.
If you say you're going to wake up at this period of time, do 1, 2, 3 things, do that. Leadership happens in the
doing.
In the doing.
In the doing.
But most importantly, also leadership happens in the private before it manifests in the public.
Yeah.
Learn to lead yourself. The efficacy of how you lead others is a reflection of how you lead yourself. Leadership is also mindset, the ability to get things, the ability to get things done, and then capacity. Subject yourself to learning. I mean, if there's a generation that is so blessed, is our generation. This generation is exposed to too much information.
Yeah.
And sometimes this too much information is what is leading to most of them to fall into mental instability and struggling with mental health crises.
And actually refusing to wait
And
because you know so much.
Yeah, you know so much.
Yeah.
Until you have not become. So if you read, for example, the Bible, in the book of Daniel chapter 11, verses 32, the Bible says, they that know their God, they shall become strong and they shall do.
Yeah.
There's the aspect of knowing, becoming, and doing.
Yeah.
But this generation has skipped the first two.
Yeah.
They want to do before they know.
You want to fly without wings.
And you see, this is actually the problem.
Yeah.
We are subjected to too much information, but we know nothing. Because also knowing, being flooded with too much information does not mean that you know.
Yeah.
Knowledge or the ability to know is reflected in who you become.
Yeah.
Because knowing gives you the principles and the practice of who you become. And then when you've become, in terms of confidence, clarity of what you need to do, your purpose, your vision, the sense of direction, that is becoming, you can exactly do. But the reason as to why our doing is so flickering is because we do not know and we have not become. And that's where the problem is.
That's what the problem
and
is.
And then there's also the principle that I want to share that as I got it from a gentleman that I really respect. It's called Stephen Bartlett. He's the CEO of The Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
And he has written a fantastic book, a fantastic book actually. It's titled The Diary of a CEO, 33
I have it. I'm yet to read it. It's my next
book.
book.
Man. I read that book when I was turning 30.
Yeah.
And that book, it has 33 laws about business and life. In the first law, he talks about filling your 5 buckets in the right order. So the first bucket, he calls it the knowledge bucket.
The knowledge bucket.
And knowledge bucket is not watching podcast for 2 hours. Knowledge bucket is being subjected to this too much information, and then you funnel what is important for you as a leader who is becoming.
Yeah.
And then he talks about the skills bucket.
The skills bucket.
The skills bucket is now the ability to get things done. Those skills, practical skills, funnel from the knowledge that you have. What skills can you get out of it that can
get things done?
Yeah, that can get things done.
Yeah.
Bucket number 3 that he talks about is the networks bucket.
Yeah.
That is what I call the social capital.
Social capital.
And
it's a resource.
It's a resource.
Yeah.
And human capital and social capital are very expensive resources.
Yeah.
Because if you can buy everything with money, then you are poor. Because money can be drained with the needs.
Yeah.
And if you can
actually, some people are so poor
that
the only thing they have is money.
It's money. I love that. Some people are very poor that the only thing they have is money. So he talks about the networks quotient. But you realize the networks quotient is a reflection of your knowledge quotient, your skills quotient, which defines the people you meet. There's a particular mindset. If you have it, there are people you will never meet.
Yeah.
There's a mindset when you have built that mindset.
Your mindset places you in the right room.
Yes.
Okay.
Because your allocation determines your location. What you have.
Yeah.
What you have determines who you meet, the places you go. There's a particular mindset when you have. There's no door that will be shut on your face. Doors will flip open. So networks quotient.
Networks quotient.
The 4th bucket he talks about is the resources quotient, the resources bucket. Now resources here, I'll define it in 3 for this generation. There are 3 resources. There are 3 resources that they need to take care of. Number one is time. And you see, time is not money.
Yeah.
Number two is their energy, especially their sexual energy, emotional energy, and physical energy. When you dispense too much sexual energy, there is the vigor, the moral compass that starts going weak.
Could it be the reason why some sportsmen choose not to be too much into?
Yeah, but actually that's it.
Yeah.
It is proven.
Yeah.
When you get into much of sexual indulgence and quite a lot of addictions that comes with it, there's a particular framework that you lose, because sexual energy is a very that's why you have to protect it.
Yeah.
And possibly you can go into depth about that in another conversation.
Okay, so
the second one is your physical energy.
Yeah.
Your physical energy, the muscle.
Yeah.
Work out. Get opportunities to work your body out.
Yeah.
If I was showing up in this podcast and I was looking weak,
Yeah.
I mean, no one will have the audacity to listen to me.
You need to bring energy.
You need to bring energy. The third one is emotional energy. And our world is so cruel that our emotional energy we are becoming bankrupt as far as our emotional energy is concerned.
Yeah.
And those three energies are very important. The other thing that is also very important is their relationship with money.
The relationship of these three with money.
With money.
Okay.
Money answereth all things. But money is not all things.
Okay.
So money answereth all
That's
things.
like a pun.
Yeah, absolutely. But you realize if you have poor relationship with money because you want this now and now, you must be able to work on your on a delayed gratification for you to have a very practical relationship with your money. Because if your money is coming in and going out instantly, and you have never built models of savings, you see, if we are raising a generation that refuses to wait, it just takes a crisis for them to be bankrupt.
Yeah.
But if they have not built portfolio in terms of their money mindset, we potentially are raising a crisis.
A crisis.
So that's very important. Time, energy, and your money in terms of your resources.
Yeah.
And then the last bucket he talks about is legacy bucket. Rick, one of the things we train organizations and staff and people is to build their reputation. Jeff Bezos said that your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Therefore, that means you're the one who is crafting that story.
Yeah.
And legacy will conduct boardroom meetings on your behalf.
On your behalf.
So these five buckets, they take time to manifest.
So but they are all architectured in the private.
Yes.
They are not architectured out there. They're architectured in the private.
They are architectured in the private. And those 5 buckets, the skills, the knowledge, the skills, the networks, the resources, and the legacy, you cannot have one and miss the others.
Okay. They are not mutually exclusive.
They are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
You have to build the tapestry to have all of them in that order. You have to feel it in that order. You cannot have legacy if you do not have practical, potential, and portable skills. You cannot have legacy if you have not built a bank of knowledge that is able to solve problems. You cannot have legacy if you have not built networks that can speak for you. You cannot have legacy if you're poor in terms of your resources.
Yeah.
So these 5 buckets are very important. It takes time. The last thing that I'll also advise this generation is patience is a gift.
Patience is a gift.
Patience is a gift. Learn how to use it.
Learn how to use it.
In your season of waiting, it does not mean that life is coming to an end.
Yeah.
It just because life rewards those who wait.
Life rewards those who wait.
But this is the caveat. You have to wait strategically. Wait while building these 5 buckets.
Yeah.
In your season of possibly you're in between jobs or you're looking for unemployment, meet with people, seek mentorship, and be able to build your tapestry of these 5 buckets in your season of waiting.
In your season of waiting.
When you come from that cage, man,
yes,
nothing will stop you.
And during the season of waiting, one of the things you should be doing is looking out for Eugene Okanda at Okanda Leadership Academy.
Absolutely.
So that you work on these things.
Yes.
So how do people get in touch with you?
You can keep in touch with us at Okanda Leadership Academy on Google search. You'll be able to check out our website and the work that we do. You'll get in touch with us there. We have a YouTube channel that I share weekly practical lessons on some of these things that I'm teaching you for free. and you can be able to check that out, Okanda Leadership Academy on YouTube. And then you can also check out Okanda Leadership Academy across or other social media platforms, but also you can check out Okanda S. Eugene across all social media platforms, and we can keep in touch on those platforms as well. Thank you.
Okanda S. Eugene across all social media platforms.
Absolutely.
As we wind down this conversation, what is the future of leadership? What trends are we seeing? What is the evolution that you're seeing in place? One of my favorite speakers on matters leadership, apart from you, you're one of the guys I listen to. But also there's this guy called John C. Maxwell.
Yes.
The Maxwell Leadership Academy.
Yes.
He says a leader is one who knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way. And in the evolution, in the changing of the character of generations, how does leadership look like in future as we close this conversation?
So leadership is not a flowchart.
It's not a flowchart.
Leadership is not positions.
It's not positions.
Leadership is your ability to reproduce yourself in others. And if you can raise you are like, and the people who have the same tapestry, they have the same attitude, they have the same zeal and zest in getting things done, that is where we're going, because the greatest leadership constant factor is responsibility. And we've talked about that word. But lastly, what I'll also say, leadership is going to be about accountability. If you can't be accountable both to yourself, to God, and to the people around you, forget about leadership, because leadership is a tough job.
It's a tough job.
Leadership is lonely, it's rocky, it is sweaty, but you need to be able to have people around you who can hold you accountable, and then have your devotion to God. Because leadership is one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Thank you, Eugene Stephen Okanda. Today we only had an opportunity to make some of the references from the Diary of a CEO, but I hope one day we'll also be back here and make reference to many other books. I'm a big fan of Stephen R. Covey, and you know what he puts in his books, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, among many other books.
Right.
But we have to end this conversation here. We'll definitely have you again at the Executive Review Podcast. I have been your host, Rick Okinda. Thank you for joining. And we hope that you can be able to continue engaging in the chat areas and also reach out to Stephen Okanda and make sure that you're developing yourself as a leader, because that's one of the biggest responsibilities that you can be able to discharge in a generation that refuses to wait. Thank you.